I work for the Standing Tall program, which is run out of the Louis Riel Institute. The Standing Tall program is a program that is placed in grade 5 to 8 classrooms in 2 inner city schools in the north end of Winnipeg. We adapted the program from New Zealand, from a Maori group called the Tutangata, who saw that their kids were struggling in the classrooms the same, and we were struggling in our classrooms the same way as they were. So the program was adapted from there to pull people from the community to work alongside their own children and own students in their community to help increase their graduation rates and to decrease suspension rates and these types of things. The aim of the program is to increase general, grade 8 graduation rates for students, but also for them to move into high school and to graduate grade 12. So some of the program goals are to enhance Aboriginal culture, to increase grade 8 graduation rates and ensure increase grade 12 graduation rates, to help parents transition into school or education initiatives, and to help the community bridge the gap between the school and the community through Standing Tall. I believe it's a program of excellence, not just because I work here, because I was one of those struggling students who didn't have people in my classroom who I felt like I could open up to and be, tell them the things that were going on outside of the school. And parts of the reasons why I was struggling in school is because of things that were going on outside. So I feel like if everybody had somebody that they could openly talk to, the Standing Tall program would be great everywhere if it could be everywhere. I think my education would have been different had I had people who I could actually relate to working with me. We measure the success through data mostly. My staff fills out log sheets every day, and they fill out monthly and quarterly log sheets that tracks student success. It tracks if they're doing group work with the students, if they're doing individual one-on-one work with the students. It tracks if students have been suspended from their classroom or have not been. It tracks absences. It tracks phone calls. It tracks home visits. That's the kind of stuff we use. I've also been working here long enough to see some of my students that were in grade 8 go to grade 12. So I've been personally being able to go to grade 12 grads. So I've been starting to try to track those numbers as well. They are more comfortable at the school. They know that if they're having a hard time in their classroom, that they can go to one of the Standing Tall staff, and that staff will either get them what they need, or they will pull them from their room if they're struggling and take them to a separate room, which was called the Nest, which is part of the Standing Tall program, to either do their work on their own or to just take a break until they can get back into the classroom. I created former student surveys, so when I see students, because I'm in and out of the North End all the time at the schools, I always run into kids that I've had through my classroom. And I've been able to track former students and get them to fill out surveys explaining how Standing Tall has helped them and how they helped them get to where they are today, and what could we have done better to be more helpful, or it's just open for comments for them. Mm-hmm. So hopefully I can use those more along the way. They name off some of the staff that has worked at the program and said, oh, so-and-so was so helpful to me. I was able to talk to her or him all the time when I was struggling at home, and they helped me in my classroom. I've had kids tell me I've helped them learn to read. I've taken kids to get glasses when I see them struggling in class, because I know that it's not that they can't do the work, that it's something else going on. Indigenous education to me, as somebody who lives in Canada, I would, when I hear the word Indigenous, I think of Métis, First Nation, Inuit. That's to me, and Indigenous education to me is bringing whatever type of culture or background you come from into the classroom and amalgamating it into the school. So partnering with the school to keep the culture alive, because we all know if it's not orally given or received to people, that's how you lose language, and that's how you lose people that can speak, for example, Michif or OG Cree or Dene, and it's a sad thing to see people's cultures just die down. For my community, what do I hope to see? Mm-hmm. Mostly I hope to see that it's not just Indigenous education. I feel like Indigenous it's a Manitoba. It's part of Manitoba history. Even if wherever you come from, if you live in Manitoba, Indigenous should be part of that. Like, it's part of our history. I think it should be taught in every classrooms. I think everybody should know about Louis Riel and all of Sitting Bull and all of that, of the people that have helped make Canada the way it is today. it's part of Canadian history as far as I feel, in my own opinion. I see that everybody should work together regardless of where you come from, or I think everybody should be involved. I think Indigenous education, it should involve everybody. I believe in it takes a village to raise a child. I think that's all true. And I think if everybody worked together, people's thoughts could change. And me personally, for the program I work for Indigenous education, I would like to see my program get into grade 9 classrooms, that hard transition year where we lose students, or, to expand Standing Tall into high school, or to just expand wherever we can, whether it's in Canada and anywhere. Standing Tall is funded through the province, through Indigenous municipal relations. I've been very, very lucky because this started as a 3-year pilot project, and this is the 14th year. So it's clearly there's been success there, or else they wouldn't continue to fund us. I also am very lucky because METS, through the MMF, through the HRD funding, they also provide my training dollars for me. So not only are we helping kids get through school and graduate and help them do their work and get to grade 12 and hopefully get to post-secondary education, but every staff member that comes through Standing Tall gets really, really good training, like NVCI, CPR. We've had suicide training. I've been able to fly trainers in from Calgary to do specific, it's called Indigenous suicide training. We're very lucky that way. So we're helping people I pull people from the community and hire them as staff, and then they get all this training and to build their resume. And as sad as it is to see some of them leave, some of them have left and become teachers. I've gone back into school and have gone and gotten different jobs because of all the training they've had through Standing Tall. We've had lots and lots of requests for the Standing Tall program. I've gone to meetings at high schools. I've gone to meetings where I've met people that are in Brandon, or outside of Winnipeg but still in Manitoba, that want the Standing Tall program in there. Unfortunately, we are based on funding because it's a non-profit organization. So if I got the dollars, I would love to expand the program, but it's trying to find the funds to do so. Makes it very hard. Advertising works really well with, I don't know, I'm able to get the word out there and get brochures out there and get things through email and network with people at certain conferences like AIR for ACE. So I get the word out that way too. But, as sad as it is, it really does come down to having the funding dollars to expand. Yes, it all looks great on data, and we are increasing graduation rates, and we're helping kids to, transition to high school and stuff. But it's all the little things, like the kids that come and say, I have a hard time getting up in the morning. Can you, and my staff will go to the house and knock on the door and make sure they get to school because they haven't been there. Or a parent who can't take their child to the eye doctor, so my staff will take them to these appointments and make sure they get glasses so they can see at school. Or just the little things. I had a student in grade 7 who was reading at a grade 1 level. When I left at the end of the year, he was caught up to class. I taught a little boy how to read. Like those types of things you can't measure on a piece of paper, the little successes that happen like that.